Gonna make a face. Hey, there we are. We're back. We didn't get internet canceled. We're back.
Got close. It was close. It was real dicey.
But no, we're back. I just want to say thanks everyone who watched the first episode. A lot more people watched it than I think any of us thought would. So, that's great. Super awesome. We'll just do like a quick check-in, and we'll probably do introductions for a couple episodes just in case people are maybe just checking in the first time. Still, we don't know who we are. So just kind of quick. Just hi, who you are, if anything's changed or anything exciting's happened in the since we last saw everyone. We'll start with Karen.
Cool. I don't know why I do that, but
cool. Okay.
Cool. I'm Karen again. Nothing has really changed since the last episode, but I'll go ahead and give my. I still don't have a job, but I'll go ahead and give my Twitter handle in case anybody missed it last time. It's Victoria Noir 89, and you'll probably see me around the From the Stands Twitter as well. So give me a follow. Talk to me.
Probably should have started by saying that this is From the Stands episode 2. I just started talking and was like,
to be fair,
not know what the heck we're doing.
To be fair, all of my favorite podcasts don't introduce the podcast name until like 20 minutes into the show. They're like, oh, hey, by the way.
We're this.
Right on. So anyways, that's who we are. We'll carry on though. Danielle.
Hey, I'm Danielle. If you missed the first show or didn't watch anything else we've ever done, I'm the resident FC Kansas City fan. My handle's everywhere online, like the 309, and nothing really interesting from last week, but one more day of work tomorrow, and then I'm going to Orlando, and it's going to be fun. I'm going to just enjoy the game as a neutral who is joining a side for the game. Harry Potter on Friday. In theory, the supporter soccer pickup game Saturday morning. We'll see. And then the game. It depends because there's a meetup on Friday night, so it really depends how much during the meetup.
Yeah. All right. So I have a great segue. I'm gonna go last because I have a great segue. We'll go with hi Jen.
Hi.
Hi Jen.
Yeah, in case anybody missed our last show, I'm Jen. I'm actually a Spirit fan, but I go through an identity crisis every season. And yeah, I'm a granny, so I don't have a Twitter handle. But I'm on Facebook. I'm the From the Stands Facebook person, so find me there. And I'm going to answer a question that we had coming in.
That was my segue that you were.
Never mind.
Not. Well, well, I'm Courtney. Again, I found out what my Twitter handle is. It really is Sportstar413, so come find me there. I was going to say, and Jen almost stole my segue. We have two great questions to start off. One of them not soccer related, one of them soccer related. But we'll start with the non-soccer related one since I asked if anything exciting happened since we last met. Yes, the Last Jedi trailer came out. Yes.
And tickets.
Yes. And awesome Mrs. Star Killer wants to know on a scale of 1 to awesome, how great was the Star Wars trailer? And I will just start and say, I'm going to say awesome. On a scale of 1 to awesome, it was very awesome. I have a lot of questions and a lot of feelings, and we'll leave it at that.
I'm going to say slightly less than awesome because one reason in particular, I can forgive Kylo. Spoiler alert.
But if you haven't seen,
oh god,
wait. If you haven't seen this Last Jedi trailer, I will wave my hand when it is good to unmute it. Mute us now. Mute it now. I will wave when it is safe to unmute. If you don't want us to talk about the trailer, mute now.
Also mute now if you haven't seen The Force Awakens, which I can't forgive. I can't.
That's not a spoiler at this point. It's their own fault.
Okay, go.
Regardless, I really enjoy Kylo Ren. I think he's hilarious, and I love the dark side. But if he kills Leia, like, I can't forgive that. I can get over him killing Han. I can't get over him killing Leia. So I'm hoping that doesn't actually happen, even though the trailer alluded to it. That's the only reason why it was less than awesome. My favorite part was the Porg.
Fair.
Yeah.
Karen, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree about the Leia thing. That scared me. I was like, they better not. And also, everything else was so freaking super awesome. I had chills, and I was shaking a little bit because I'm a huge Rey fan, and it was full of Rey. And I was just like, yes. So it's going to be great.
And Danielle.
I rated it on a scale of I started crying as soon as I saw Leia. So it was pretty emotional. So I agree. If Kylo does that, I will go and smack him. I don't care if he's a fictional character. I'm going to make it happen.
We can take care of him in either April or May when we see him at Hollywood Studios. So
there you go. So I rate it awesome because I do like. This is still a spoiler, but you should still have it muted. I like that they alluded that Rey might go to the dark side, but I trust my beautiful space child to make the right decision. I'm so proud of her always, and I trust she'll do the right thing. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry.
I'm waving. You can unmute it now.
Come back. Come back.
Come back. Thumbs up. Unmute it. You're good. We're back.
Man,
We're gonna talk
I can't believe we talked about all those spoilers. Like
I know.
Karen's muted.
We're
Karen pause for you guys. There we go.
We're going to talk about soccer now. We're going to our second question. For those of you watching, if you have a question, just I'm watching the live chat, so throw it in the chat. On a more serious note, Star Wars is serious, so you don't have to qualify on a more serious note. So Starkiller wants to know our thoughts on the second 11 and who we think will or should be in the best 11. So I guess real quick, if there's one person from the second you thought should be on the first, and then someone who you think in general should be on the first. We'll start with Danielle.
Don't start with me.
Okay, we'll start with Jen. Jen.
Okay, cool. I think my favorite person on the second 11 was actually Abby Erceg. I'm a really big Abby Erceg fan. I don't know what it is. I just adore her. I don't think she deserved to be on the first 11 this year. Sorry, Abby. But I love seeing her at least get the nod on the second 11. I don't know. I feel like Caitlin Rowland was an interesting choice for the second 11. I don't know that I was expecting to see her on there. And I thought Alex Morgan and Megan Rapinoe might get the nod to the first, but they didn't. So I'm really interested to see who is going to get on the first. In my opinion, it should be Haley Rosso. I think she just had a ridiculous season. If she's not on the first 11, I would be shocked.
I'll go, I guess, and just since we're already in this box 1, 2, whatever.
Yeah, you got promoted to 1. It's fine.
I will actually say that I would have thought Alex Morgan probably would have been on the first team, like the first best 11. I think she deserved it, honestly. Which may be a polarizing statement to some people. I may be getting in trouble either way saying this, but yeah, I think she probably should have been. I'm gonna go ahead, and then again, this may also cause. I really don't know, but I also agree with Haley Rosso. I really would like to see Ali Krieger on the best 11. I think that she was someone who was really consistent and obviously the national team won't recognize her work this season, but I think that she really was very solid for the Pride, and I would like to see her be on best team. And I guess we'll have to see. But that's my answer. I'm gonna now go to Danielle.
All right, I'm ready now. It's been an afternoon, so I just glanced because I do not prepare very well.
Okay.
I think I agree that I was kind of surprised Alex Morgan was on the second because she has had a really great season. So I was a little surprised at that, but I'll hold off my judgments till I see the first 11. I liked seeing Caitlin Rowland on there. I'm a little biased because I, former FCKC player. Obviously the Courage being as great as they have this season, Roland has been a big part of that. With the Courage, one person I do expect to see on the first is McCall Zerboni. I think she's had a great season. Not necessarily the biggest fan of her. That's fine. But I think she's had a very, very great season, like really good. So I expect to see her on the first.
And Karen.
I'm gonna go with my team bias because
Also very fair.
Yeah, but I think that for the best 11, I would put Rebecca Stott in the best 11. I know that she's probably there, but I watched her in particular when I would do like rewatches of games and stuff, and she was so good. And not just for the Reign, but for New Zealand as well. But she's just such a solid defender to have, especially when we lost Kendall Fletcher. It's somebody that was that steady back there. So I think she deserves to be on the best 11. Probably won't get there. I think she kind of got overlooked a lot by, I think just in general, which happens sometimes when you're a defender. But I think she deserves to be there. And then as far as the second 11, I was actually really surprised that Julie Ertz was on the second and isn't going to be on the best 11 because she had herself a season as far as goal scoring and just the fact that they moved her into that position in the middle of the pitch and she just like rocked it. So, I mean, she was a huge, huge, huge part of how far I think Chicago Red Stars went. And I was just really surprised that she only got onto the second one and not the best 11. And again, that might be my Santa Clara Bronco bias, but I think she just had a really, really good season and deserved to be in the first. So that's going to be interesting to see who got there instead. Probably McCall Zerboni, but as far as other midfielders, I don't even know.
Lightning round question, and I know that they're totally different players, but I'm just trying to enjoy the fan interaction. Lightning round, no explanations, just answer one or the other.
I'm stressed.
Don't be stressed. Who would be the bigger snub if they don't make the best 11? Zerboni or Kawasumi? Jen.
Kawasumi.
Karen.
Kawasumi.
I'm going to go with McCall.
Also going to go with Zerboni. So thank you, Starkiller, for your questions. Got us off on a good note. If anyone else watching has any questions, like I said, put them in the chat. We're going to talk about this weekend's games, and we're going to go – we'll start with Portland, Orlando. That's just in numeric date order. That was the first semifinal. So we'll start with that. I'm going to kick it over and start with Jen. Just some general thoughts on the game. Just –
great stuff. Great stuff coming from Jen today.
It's gonna be a pretty quick game. No disrespect to Orlando, but
yeah. I mean, we know where I stand with Orlando, especially since I'm sitting here in a Portland jersey right now. From the beginning, I said that Portland had it, and they were playing in Portland. Like, there was just, sorry, Orlando fans. Orlando wasn't going to win this one. With the loss of Camilla that just happened and playing in Portland and all of these other variables, Portland was on it, and that's pretty much all I can really say about it.
All right, Danielle?
Well, it was really fun. I got home from the grocery store a bit later than I wanted to on Saturday, so I missed the first 15 minutes. So getting home with 2 goals already scored was wow. I actually, I figured Portland was going to win it, like Jen said. I mean, in Portland. It was actually kind of sad because Orlando, for most of the middle of the game, I thought really was playing better. I'm not going to say the better team, but I thought that they were playing better. through a lot of the middle section. It's just they couldn't finish. They couldn't capitalize on chances. They, it was just that little bit that was lacking. And you can't do that if you go to Portland. If you go to Portland, especially how that team was playing and how much they wanted it, because they wanted it, you have to finish your chances. And it got to a point near the end where Portland ended up, scoring that third goal, and it was game over. Like, it was just gone at that point, as you could see by the goal that happened afterwards. So it was disappointing because, like I said, during the middle, it was very even. But yeah, Orlando made some key mistakes to allow some of those goals. I won't name players that I feel should have done better because I don't want to be murdered. But I think they were better players than they played. I think they're better than they performed. And unfortunately, during the semifinal, you can't do that. So.
Alrighty, Karen.
Yeah, I think like Danielle said, Orlando put on a clinic. And I think I've said this on Twitter somewhere, but they put on a clinic for how to create a lot of chances and not finish them. And I know as like plenty of Orlando fans were tweeting and talking in Facebook threads and stuff about how like hard it was to watch them just get chance after chance after chance and then just not capitalize on those. And as a Reign fan, I know how that feels. So it was, I'm sure, like really hard for them to watch because it was hard for me to watch, and I'm not a fan of either of those teams. So yeah, that was just very disappointing for Orlando. And then to let all of those goals in, and then, you see the end scoreline 4-1, and it seems like such a lopsided game. But like Danielle said, the middle of the game was, it was fair game. Even though Orlando was losing 1-2 for a lot of the game, it was pretty good. It was good soccer. And then just to touch on this for a second, because I feel like I have to. People were talking about Tom Sermanni and his interview that he did, and he talked about playing at Portland. And he said some things that I didn't agree with about like refereeing and how they might be like making a lot of calls against teams that aren't Portland and stuff. And I think maybe some referees who are less experienced might fall into that category, like kind of refereeing with the crowd because there's like 20,000 people yelling at you. But I think for the most part, the referees are pretty evenly inconsistent with all teams in all games. So you can't really towards Portland. That said, I do think having 20,000 fans who come out to your games all the time is definitely a huge boost, not just because of the sound of it and everything, but just knowing that you have that many people who are going to be there no matter how you play. I think that affects, because for me, if I had a bunch of people I knew they were going to be there watching me play, whether I lost or whether I won, that would kind of give me this mentality of like, what do you have to lose? Just like put it all out on the field. And I feel like some of the Portland players might feel that when they're there. And I think Portland fans in particular need to understand that that amount of people at their games does give them an advantage. And it's not like they're cheaters or anything like that. It gives them an advantage that some other teams don't have. And that's good. Like, you should pat yourselves on the back for it, but also admit that you have an advantage. So I think that in some ways Tom Sermanni was right, but in the ways that he was kind of talking about referees being biased and all that stuff, I think that he was a little bit wrong. And there were plenty of calls that went against Portland in that game that were wrong, and plenty of calls that went against Orlando that were wrong. It's just the way that refereeing is in this league in particular. So
someone asked a question. I'm going to echo, just ditto what a lot of you guys said. I'm just trying to get to some questions and still keep it like a tightest show. Somebody asked about Krieger specifically in defense, but I'm going to ask about just the defense in general. They had kind of a weird, they had like a 5-back during the semifinal or something like that. The question kind of is, you know, Krieger normally plays outside back, but for most of the season played center back. Question was kind of, do we think Orlando needs to get some more outside backs or defenders in general? Just real quick thoughts.
I'm gonna kind of refer to the question a little bit here. Ali Krieger did play great center back this season, but she's so good at what she does that even though she has that versatility, I still love her as a right back. In my opinion, she is one of the absolute best defenders when it comes to switching the field, when it comes to determining the run of whatever play that starts in that back line, when it comes to being that attacking defender, and she does it best on the flank. That being said, her versatility does allow her to play center back extremely well. You know, they've got Steph Catley as a defender, who, again, is amazing. She's got great versatility as well. But I do think they need to develop a better D-line. They have a pretty solid one. I mean, they made it as far as they did, so that speaks a lot to their D-line. But I think they could use a little bit more development.
Alrighty. Danielle, quick thoughts, and we'll move on to the next
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. Just a little more development. They're so close. Just got to get a little more. And, you know, I agree with Jen when she said that, you know, Allie's a great center back, but when you've been in a position for so long, like right back, that you really need to be able to spend more time practicing a position. And I think she's done extremely well. But even like Becky Sauerbrunn, when she's put in a different position, she'll tell you, I'll do it, but I want to be able to devote time to this, you know, to make sure I do it well. I don't want to just be thrown in there because that's not fair to my teammates. I'm really paraphrasing what Becky said, but I think that I think it's kind of similar. I think Allie, you know, she's right back, and she's been right back for so long that, you know, maybe that's a better position for her. But, you know, man, I'd love Ali Krieger on my team always, you know, so I'll be able to fill in there.
And Karen?
I would add Ashlyn Harris into the D-line as well. I think her being away with
we lost
the communication will break up a little bit between her and her back line. And you could kind of see it in the communication, like that long ball that Rasso scored. That's something that Harris should have come out for immediately, and that's something that she should be talking to her defenders about. And you could just tell that there was a communication breakdown between her and her defense. And I think having her as their number one keeper and keeping her there, keeping their keeper in that position and not subbing her out for somebody. And you can't help it when there's an injury, obviously. But I think that would improve things a lot, just having her there all the time and really building that repertoire with her defense. And I think that's probably what they were missing as well, because your keeper is supposed to kind of orchestrate your back line. So it just seemed like that was lacking. So on top of all of what you guys are saying.
Rest in peace, your mentions.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, yeah, I mean, it's great that Ali Krieger is so versatile, but I also really would love to see her on the outside. So I'd love to see them find some players who are really comfortable and solid in the center. So we'll leave that at that. Moving on to what I thought, not that the Portland-Orlando game wasn't good, but you know, I'm a little biased also, but I'm just going to start off. I'm going to start off with the Chicago game, Chicago Courage game. I'm going to start off, and I'm just going to say I don't love when players get waived from teams. That's so sad. But I love when players get waived from teams, get picked up by another team, and then do good things for that new team. And I know a lot of people who are like, man, I wish Chicago would have won, but like, yay, Denise O'Sullivan. So I'm going to say that, and then I'm going to kick it over to some thoughts. We'll go to Karen about the Chicago and North Carolina game.
yeah, first of all, poor Dash fans. Like, that was just like a punch to the face, man. Like, they were like, and
That was a good pause.
she scored right after she scored right after I had been like, oh man, she gets to start with the courage. Like, what if she scores a goal? And I was watching the game with Neil next to me, and he was like, stop it. And then she scored, and we were like, what? Oh my God. So anyways, poor Dash. Poor Dash fans. But yeah, it was really it was a really fun game to watch, I thought. It was pretty back and forth. There were some parts that were a little slow. My snackies and drink my beer and kind of just like vegged a little bit during those portions. But for the most part, it was a pretty exciting game. I thought both of the defenses put on such a good defensive game. Granted, that goal that Chicago let in was rough because it took that deflection off of, I think it was Ertz.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, deflection goals always suck for the keeper, and that's just how it is. But I thought that, once again, North Carolina did what they do best, and that's just being consistently strong everywhere on the field, whether it's the forwards, the midfielders, the defense. They're just a really strong team, and you can tell that they're extremely cohesive with the way that they play, and they're all kind of on the same wavelength, and it's just, they're just really good right now, and I don't know if they can be stopped, because it's been a pretty consistent thing. I mean, they lost against Chicago all 3 times during the season, but there are a lot of mitigating factors there. So they're just consistently good, and they're going to be really hard to break down in the final game. It's going to be really take like a miracle play or something like that to score on that team. So at the rate that they're playing right now, we'll see what happens, but it's going to be a crazy difficult game, I think, for both of those teams.
Danielle?
Man, that goal hurt. As somebody who is going for Chicago, obviously I'm a Kansas City fan, but I have a soft spot in my heart for Chicago because I'm friends with a lot of their supporter group, and I felt so bad for them because it was near the end. It looked like it was going into another year of being in overtime, and then ouch, that deflection. So I don't know what it is about Chicago. They just, the semifinals are just really rough for them. And I mean, I was glad for one of those years, don't get me wrong, but these last 2 years have been, I feel for their fans because a deflection goal that late in the game is just heartbreaking. But it was a good game. 2 great teams. North Carolina was definitely not the underdog. I get what Paul Riley was trying to do. I get it, but they were definitely not the underdogs, and they showed it. So yeah, I think that the stronger team won. But as somebody who sympathizes with Chicago fans, ouch, just yeah, that's all I have. I feel for them.
Definitely.
The only thing more heartbreaking than a deflection goal that late is losing the final on penalty kicks.
That game never happened.
Oh God, yeah.
It was canceled.
I mean, I remember that game quite fondly. Sorry. I'm in a lot of trouble. Speaking of me being in a lot of trouble, let's talk about the final. We talked about Star Wars I know I tried to keep this to a half hour, but we talked about Star Wars for like a good 5 minutes or so. So I'm gonna, we got to talk about the final, obviously. Just yeah. So I'm in a lot of trouble. So let's be honest here. Since I will be honest, since the Flash became the Courage, still really invested in supporting the players. But can honestly say, and I'm not just saying this so I don't want to get in trouble. I honestly would love to see I'm saying this right now, so no one can say that I'm not sticking by my support. I would love to see the Courage win. I would love to see the Courage win. I would. I would be super happy. However, it's one of those situations where I actually, if Portland wins, I would be happy for her because she loves Portland. Yeah, I'm in a lot of trouble. I would still be happy for you if Portland won, though.
Come back.
I'm not as invested as I was when it was the Flash, honestly. Just because I don't get to see the games in person anymore. So, yeah, I obviously want the Courage to win. But if Portland wins, so be it. Just my couple quick thoughts while I'm in the doghouse and in trouble. So then I'll shut up. But I think it's going to be a really great game. I think it's going to be a really wonderful final, and I'm so excited. It'll be interesting to see if the Courage can break the Shield curse. But I think it's going to be a great game, and I'm going to shut up now because I'm getting glared at, and the wedding's going to be canceled at this point, and bad things are going to happen. I'm going to not go to you right now. I'm going to go to Danielle and just give us, I guess, what you're most looking forward to in the final and who you think is going to win.
I am well, I think it's going to be a great game, like you were saying. I really do think it's going to be a good game. You got the two best teams of the year, which is always, I guess, a good thing. Even, whatever. I think knowing that I think that we were talking during when we were talking about the semifinal for Portland and Orlando, we were talking about how the crowd's an advantage. I think that might be a factor in Orlando. Obviously, North Carolina's closer, but I know that there are a ton of Portland fans traveling down. They're taking it very seriously, so much that people who were told they could switch to the visitor section have been told, maybe not so much.
I knew this was going to come up.
I'm not saying myself. But myself, my group, Blue Squadron 134, my weekend supporter group. No, it's going to be a really great game. I'm going for Portland. Not always the most popular pick in the NWSL fan base, I realize, but I like the players, and you know what? I love the Riveteers. I can't even talk. I love the Portland fans. That's easier for me to say because of sometimes I do have a history of a speech impediment, so sometimes I don't say words right.
You're fine. Karen called Kelsey Weiss for a whole damn season, so you're fine.
It's fine. So
we're gonna bring that up.
So yeah, I think it's gonna be a good game. I'm gonna be going for Portland. Personally, red for a day. See some of my friends up there. They treated Blue Crew very nice when we went up there, obviously because of who we were playing, but still. So, get to repay the favor. They were blue for a day. I'm going to be red for a day. Have fun, watch a good soccer game, and whatever happens, just be thankful that, we're in year 5 and how strong it is, how many people are traveling to that game, the quality of soccer, the quality of players in that game. If you step back and really look at it, it's amazing, and we should all be really proud. Obviously, the players are the ones playing, but I think the fans should also be proud because, I think that the NWSL, I'm getting sappy all of a sudden for some reason.
I know, what is happening?
It's fine. It's fun.
For the next episode, talking about the league, but go ahead.
I will get there. I will do it again. Don't worry. I have plenty of sap to go around. But I think that this weekend we do have to realize that this was we didn't get there just because of the players. I think the fan base really got us to this point, and seeing the quality of the two teams, being in that stadium, it's going to be really special. Even if you don't like either team, it really is going to be a special event. So I really hope that everyone can really just appreciate it. Look forward to season 6 and how exciting it is. I know every time we got past season 3, we've been saying that, but oh my God, look at where we are. So I'm going to enjoy this weekend. I'm going to try not to get in too much trouble, try not to get kicked out of any place.
Good plan.
But I can't promise. And you know what? If you're at the game, come see me. I will be the short girl causing lots of trouble in an FCKC gear.
Right on.
Finger guns, because I don't know how to end this.
Oh, okay. Karen, same question, kind of like, what are you looking most forward to about?
Have fun calling that up.
And who do you think's gonna win?
Well, Danielle brought us up here. I'm gonna bring us down
Oh no.
to
Okay.
balance it out.
That's fine.
Teams could just lose somehow, I'd be
I'm not disagreeing with that.
I would be so happy if both of the teams, if it was possible for them both to lose. I'm like 90% just joking and being a turd, 90%. But if you could just take the trophy and split it up and give it to all the other 8 teams and not those last 2, that would be awesome. And again, I'm being a turd and I'm just kidding. But
all of our mentions this week, my goodness.
I know.
People are gonna unsubscribe.
We're gonna have negative subscriptions. So yeah, I'm just kidding. I think unless Portland is able to, like I said, pull out some sort of miracle goal, or Rasso somehow comes out of nowhere and steals the ball from a defender or pounces on a bad back pass or something and scores a goal like what she does. I think that I think Chobin has to have a really good game for them to win. She has to have one of her miracle games, her miracle performances that she does sometimes. And I think Mark Parsons has to be the best possible coach and make the best possible decisions to beat how they're playing right now, because Courage is like a brick wall, and not a $10 billion brick wall, but a brick wall that will actually work.
We're still getting canceled.
And stop the caliber of a Tobin Heath and a Haley Rasso and a Christine Sinclair when they are lit on fire like they are right now. So I'm gonna give it to North Carolina. For now, I think that they're probably gonna win. But it would, if Portland wins, that means that it's gonna be a legitimately great game, one of the greatest games in NWSL history. And I want it to be the greatest game in NWSL history, because I think there's going to be a record number of people watching on TV and in the crowd. So obviously I want it to be the best game ever, and I don't want any injuries. Those are my 2 things. So stick to that.
And
guys.
last but not least, look, I gave you the last word. Okay, please share. We gotta wrap the show up, so please share your thoughts, and we'll carry on.
I mean, I think Karen kind of said it, but in the opposite way. I think Portland just needs to do what they do.
Yeah,
and that's Portland needs to do what they do, and they can beat the Courage, and that's the biggest thing. They are going to a neutral territory. But again, Danielle's right. There's a lot of Portland fans. They're all over the country. I'm in Buffalo up here wearing a Portland jersey. So, it's going to be a good game, I think. But I think Portland can pull it out if they just do what they do and do what they know. I think they will come out on top. Sorry, Danielle, that means you're going to have to retire your chant. But
I technically have to do it either way, because I get North Carolina as a new team, but there's.
I think the players and the coach deserve the defending champs title. I don't think the team necessarily deserves.
There's just too much technicalities. We're retiring it.
But we're not going to get into that. But yeah, I'm obviously going for Portland here, so hopefully they can squeak it out, because this is the second year in a row that one of my teams has gone up against her team. And
well, they're partially my team. I'm not. They're. I'll take ownership. Yeah.
Wedding off.
I'll take ownership. I'll commit. my team.
I'm hoping this doesn't end on penalty kicks.
Oh, God, no.
Nope.
So
No.
Well,
don't put that bad juju in the environment out there.
all right. Well, so that's another From the Stands episode. Thanks for bearing with us. I know we went a little bit long, but thanks for bearing with the Star Wars.
No, they should be lucky they got to do the Star Wars thing.
What you see is what you get. So there's that.
How many nerds are on this panel? They knew what they were getting.
Yeah.
All of us.
If we don't get internet canceled this week, then we may be back to do a season wrap up at some point. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe, tell your friends, all that. Follow our social media, and we will see you next time. And we're still gonna wave.
Bye.
Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for checking us out.